Thank you for listening to the Business Blast podcast. So for all my listeners out there that have been wanting to do your own podcast, I'd like to introduce to you Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. So before I found Anchor, I had never actually done a podcast because all the research that I had gathered made it seem very complex. Then I found Anchor, and Anchor makes podcasting extremely simple. So if you want to do your own podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Tali with us. She's the founder of Smart and Resourceful, a digital marketing and project management company that assists small businesses and solopreneurs with their digital outreach. She also owns and manages a lifestyle and travel blog called Pretty Brown Nomad, where she discusses living a nomadic lifestyle and generating a lucrative income while doing it. So welcome to the show, Tali.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
Of course. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll dive into the first one. The first question I have for you, Tali, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
It's hard to find the best, but the one that comes to mind that kind of tells a story, I think, is when I was in my mid-20s. I was staying in an apartment that was probably about 600 square feet, and I was running into $800 per month electricity bills, and no one could provide any answers or any solutions. I found myself calling, going to offices, crying, going into debt, eventually with the threat of not having any electricity. And eventually it just came down to me having to do a lot of research, going to libraries, going to offices, studying up on legal cases where people had gone through this before, learning about the meters, the whole nine. And I remember finding myself outside, adjusting the meters, shaking, terrified. But eventually in the end, I was able to spot out terms that I wasn't supposed to know and metrics and numbers and history, where I ended up getting a lot of back pay. But that really just taught me that nobody was going to save me. Nobody cared. I could have gave up, but I had to go outside of my comfort zone as far as figuring out how to get myself out of a mess that was completely unfair. But it taught me a good, valuable life lesson.
And what's the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
So at the end of the day, everything about me is digital marketing. And so while people need a great brand, I think, and, services and offering, I think that people need to understand that we're in an era where you've got to invest in order to make it. And so I think as far as what I would offer is that please make investments. You've got to pay to play these days, and you need to hire somebody that can go out and play the best possible game for you with your marketing dollars.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
You know what? I'm going to talk to business owners specifically. I would say to make sure that you're doing something that you would do for free. It has to be something that you're completely passionate about. That way you will be able to stick with it through the long term, good, bad, indifferent, or you don't want to find yourself a few years doing something that you absolutely hate. So make sure that you do something that you're extremely passionate about.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
You know what? For me, this kind of deters from business, and it gets very personal, which it becomes business and personal as I've grown. But I was raised in a household with a father that nicknamed me ugly and a mother that was just not checked in, for lack of better words. And so I would go back and just tell her that she was beautiful inside and out, and not to listen to that and not to internalize that.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Oh, happiness. I think it's a good mix of sunlight, spending time with nature, being out in water, trees, mountains, love, the ebbs and flows of love, be it family love, be it romantic love, friendship love, being vulnerable, having and sharing ideas, with people that get you, laughter, moving your body around, a combination of all of those things. And if you lack in one area, double up on another one.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
so hard. I'm going to have to go with a collective books, anything from A Course in Miracles to Science and Mind, the Four Agreements, Power of Now, anything that's dealing with mind change and being able to manipulate, being able to take control of your mind. I think for me, learning that life isn't just happening and that you can have a strategy as far as what you tell your mind to believe, what you put in your mind, that's what's been big for me. So any of those mindset books have been good for me.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote: "The cure for anything is salt water's sweat." The cure for anything is salt water, tears, sweat, or the sea, by Karen Blixen.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
Yeah, if you're interested in travel or the nomadic adventures, I'm at prettybrownnomad.com. Anybody interested in digital advertisement and business growth, I'm at smartandresourceful.com.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.